Hello, Jesus, this is the Father. Join the force of Team Fairness. We are most powerful empire of goodness, truth, and fairness, disguised as total evil. So I've decided to make more satirical comedy fun videos. I like to have fun. It's time to play. Children, do you know where your parents are? It's 46 seconds in. I have a hard time counting these days. I think I have COVID. The last couple of days I've felt dreadful. No energy. And I remember when I had COVID really bad, I could hardly get up off the floor to go to the bathroom. It was that bad. I was sleeping on the floor. Heaven forbid anyone ever sleep on the floor. There's like some superstition or something. Well, it makes sense if there's like insects that or mice or whatever that can get into the house back in the old days. Even in the new days, depending on where you live. And who built the house? And how powerful the mice's teeth are. And how quickly the bugs can fly through open windows. Fast. When I went to to Arkansas, it's when I had never been east of the Mississippi. I grew up in Utah. And the bugs here are rather docile in comparison to those powerful insects of the warmer climates. Wow, I couldn't believe how fast they were. We have horse flies here. They're great big flies, and I've had one bit me once when I was young that hurts. It doesn't sting, it hurts when they bite you. And they bite the horses and they get blood from the horses. Horseflies, check it out, Google it. It's probably got a picture of them. We could rewrite the metamorphosis story. The guy turns into a horsefly instead of a cockroach. Scourge. You become the scourge when you don't listen to your inner voice, you know. That's the moral of the story. Who wrote that story? I'm trying to remember. Oh well. We'll just pass right on by that. We'll just like tiptoe through the tulips like Tiny Tim singing in a high-toned voice. Google Tiny Tim. So you get a blast from the past when you listen to Steve Child's Team Fairness. I found out today they've got Team Fairnesses going on LinkedIn and TikTok. I didn't know anything about it. They got hashtags, Team Fairness, because I have a hard time with computers. So back in the day, they had Hank Williams Jr. Hank Williams is one of my heroes for writing. Moving on over, the new dog's moving in. It's like the old rule of the planet is over and Team Fairness is ruling now. And anyway, Hank Jr. wrote a song called Dinosaur. Because he's from the old school of Hank Jr. He became like MAGA. And I stayed like Bernie Sanders fan, wondering why this great big division. And I've learned it's from authoritarianism. There's two types of family strategies: authoritarianism and democratic family. I like to think it's my hobby, along with practicing total silence, no thoughts. Silence is God. And I really like that from Meister Eckhart. He said, God is pure nothing. See, he's in alignment with Buddha. It's really amazing. Ramana Maharshi, same page as those guys. I'm on that page. I don't exist page. This is the page where God is the only thing that exists and we don't exist anymore. We never did. We thought we did, but it was an illusion. It was a simulation created by our ego with our eyeballs. And to navigate the world of differences. So there's an idea I heard from a friend from the Hindu line of thought, and it's simultaneous oneness and difference. That's very well said. So I'm trying to not be harmful to anyone anymore and to do no wrong to other people, and including me. So when you decide to stand up for your own self, you better buckle up. What should I say? Cowboy metaphor? You're in for one hell of a ride, and it might be real bumpy, because that's not allowed. You're not allowed to be true to yourself in this society. You have to betray yourself at a young age and serve the master with the whip, the authoritarian parent. See what I'm saying? They're not allowed to be their true self. So those of us that have already begun this process of retrieving our real self from our childhood, becoming our original childhood self, as well as our old man self and everything in between. See the effect? We've been betrayed, Jack, since we were born here. It's like Bradshaw said, they didn't want the real child that was born to them. They wanted a nice boy. So it's like, they can't have any fun. Do you think Trump's having fun? Do you think MAGA people are having fun? They're not. I'm having fun. I have lines from old movies. Damn the torpedoes. Full speed ahead, you know? It's like Robert Bly. He said, he's talking about a story he heard that he really appreciated. It's a lead up to the feather from the... See what happens? It's grief. Good grief, Charlie Brown. The Hindu line is that suffering is grace. People avoid their suffering at all costs. There's like video addictions, there's like drug and alcohol addictions, there's power addictions and make a lot of money addictions. Joseph Campbell said that getting money is a meditation that you focus on. And then, you know, there's a time comes for a lot of us that we're looking for a higher truth. And we're trying to stop this harm from happening to the next generations, which turns them into emotionally stupid on the emotional IQ level, because the emotions are not allowed. So they're like shamed, they're humiliated, they're required to totally give up their real self and hide it somewhere, so they don't even know where it is, so they can be a good boy and serve the evil parents of authoritarianism and play like they're good. It's John Bradshaw called it the family spell. So everybody's playing like nobody's playing this game of authoritarianism. You have to deny that you know anything about it. So I was going to have fun making this video. What was I going to do? I can't remember. I got to stretch my arm up here. Like you can't see that I'm going to, here it is. I'm reaching for the pause. It's in a different place than where you're at. That reminds me. Oh, I'm going now. I just remembered something I want to talk about. I had a dream a couple hours ago. I'm like getting lots of sleep, all I can, trying to get my strength back. And my lungs ache from going on the walk after. I have to go for a walk. I got to sleep, and then I got to get exercise, and I force myself into the exercise. Pretty soon I get my joys back on. I have my joy turned back on, and my happiness for being alive. So they showed me a parallel world that's right here. It's like there'd be a door here and there'd be another door there in the other world, and you could go through either one to be in the other world. And I've seen stuff in the past, and it's like, did I really see that differently? You wonder. And then once you see the world that you're in now, and then it stabilizes, and it's like, it's always been like this, but no, it's not. And we deny it. We deny seeing things like that. Because we're told if you saw something like that, you are crazy, you are a lunatic, and they'll put the straitjacket on you, and they'll give you a lobotomy, and they'll poke the ice pricks into your eyes and kill your brain, and they will hook the electrical machine up to your brain and shock you. They'll give you electrical shock therapy, and this is for your own good, because you are not ever to notice that. Ever. So they did a study on, do you know about the other world? It's obvious once you learn that it's there. You see the way people behave in this. They're trying to hide from those of us that don't know about it. Maybe I'm the only one left. So they're telling me that the aliens took over except for me. So I'm being told, never give up, Steve. They're telling me, do not give up. Don't leave. Stay here. Don't give up. That's what I'm doing. I'm not leaving the planet. Oh, they told me to buckle up for the ride in the flying saucer. So that might materialize. Actually, literally. UFO all over the place. There are the lights in the sky, and they're saying they're drones. I've seen them before they had drones. I've seen them in places that they did not have airplanes in the air. So my friend was telling me that the UFOs could be hiding as streetlights on the side of the road, and they're not really streetlights. They're make-believe streetlights. They're really UFOs. So I dreamed about it, and it's from the alien side. So the alien UFO, the alien world, is right here. It's like this other world kind of thing. A friend had a dream that they landed the UFO and it became a more LDS building. And all the cars around it are white. And as she's telling me this at the coffee shop, I look up and I see that all the cars are white on the road. And I said, look at all the white cars. She didn't even bat an eye. It was like she was aware of how strange things can be. She was a cool person. I don't remember her name. So anyway, when I had my surgery for my pituitary tumor, adrenal insufficiency, I had some out-of-body dreams that I thought were the real world for 6 months after. And it finally dawned on me. I was dreaming that stuff. But it was in a different world. And I talked to people in the other world. It was so strange. And then one time I saw an alien walk through the room. I just saw the energy thing. Like it's like, I used to see it as a precognition, and it would be playing like it's a fly that I would see. Saw it again. See, it's cold out there. There's no insects in here, none. So I see the future. And so I would see the fly later that took the path of what I had seen spiritually. People will call this seeing things spiritually first and then seeing them materially second. So it's like, have fun with this. Have fun with being here, being alive. And don't do people wrong. And then there's no way that you're doing anything against God. It's not true. God loves you if you're having fun and you're not doing anyone wrong. We're trying to create more joy. Joy to the world. Oh, I dreamed of a frog, and it was like a god. It was a god. And it was like Jesus. So I imagined bringing them into my being, because somebody was going to kill the frog. They want to kill the Christ, me. They want to kill me. Judas. I'm like communicating, and it's Judas. They're telling me that was Judas. And he's so mad at me because he can't win. So it's a game. He's authoritarian. Don't piss me off. And I'm like, you're an asshole. I'm going to piss you off. So I got 2 birds with one stone, because they always say, never call me an asshole. He's an asshole. I call him it as soon as he says it. Never flip the bird at me. You flip the bird at me. No, I never flip the bird at you. What is this? Look at this. This is the bird. I don't ever flip the bird at you. You're crazy. You're a lunatic. So you just beat them at their own game. And they can't win because we're empowered, because we're not doing people wrong. They're doing us wrong. They did us wrong since we were children. It should not have happened to us. So I was talking to one of the Judas guys, and he started opening up about how I'm right about the childhood of authoritarian children. So when you find the way, make a path for the people to follow. This is the way of the why. This is why I was able to find the path, because the people have already left the way here in the stories, and it's been snuck into the scriptures. And it's been snuck into our stories that people tell, and they've been able to hide this meaning into these stories, that this mean authoritarian archon, the demiurge, the Gnostics called it, the ruler of the world, that claims he's the only God, he doesn't even have enough brains to figure it out. It's because he's been dumbed down by authoritarianism. So get this, it's our compassion for them, like Buddha taught, like Jesus taught, love your enemy. It's us having the knowledge that we're succeeding in getting free of the cruelty that's holding them down, holding them back. So we're not going to strand them. We're going to make a path. We're going to leave breadcrumbs. We're going to leave a string all the way they can follow. There's a Hindu story Ram Dass talked about in Be Here Now. Cool little book. Cloudwalker. Jay. I met him. He was with Atsumi, the Buddhist monk. And I don't know, I can't find any connection to him lately. He was having a sangha in a Christian church in like Kentucky or maybe Tennessee, I'm not sure. One of those. This was years ago. I needed some connection to some Buddhists, and I didn't know how to drive in Salt Lake. I grew up in a small town, and I was nervous. I was disturbed. So I prayed to Buddha. I need to talk to some Buddhists. I asked Buddha, I want to talk with some Buddhists. And the next morning there was one in front of my house. I'm not making this up. And his name was Atsumi. And he was on a peace walk for protest on nuclear weapons that happened in Japan. He was from Japan. And he didn't speak English that well. So he was on the news. I saw him on the local news. This was back when we had antennas on the roof. And it would be on air. So when something was being broadcast, the radio or the television, they would say, we're on air. Because it's meaning that the electromagnetic radio waves were being transmitted through the air. So we live in a different day now. We have smartphones. They can manufacture things really easily now. So it used to be like tools were like expensive and like only one source, and now there's all kinds. They can make excellent quality tools anywhere. A lot of them are made in Japan. Our technology is so awesome. It's just wonderful. I wanted to talk about the Max Planck and Schrödinger. Schrödinger's cat guy. Max Planck was like the father of quantum mechanics. The Planck's constant and the Planck equation, he figured out that the frequency, the energy is equivalent to the frequency of light. So the short waves have more energy, and it carries right into the colors in the spectrum and visible light. So it's really cool to start to understand how our world is physically. It's called physics because it's the physical world. Light is an aspect of physical reality. The electromagnetic spectrum. It's what light is in. It's a small segment in this broad spectrum. The longest length radio wave would be the length of the universe, theoretically. It couldn't be any longer than that. But really long ones are like miles long. the radio telescopes they use, look up how long is the wavelength of the radio waves that they catch. See what I mean? You learn what to search for. And so you start learning how to learn from using the internet. And you can learn quicker than at a college. And it's more important what you're learning because, like I'm interested in a psychological connection to quantum mechanics. Try that one. See what I'm saying? And see what AI comes up with or whatever. See? Planck said that there's a mind that causes the material, like the mind of God makes matter. And Schrodinger said that consciousness is fundamental to material. I do not agree with that anymore. I used to. In Buddhism, they talk about the outside world that we're looking at that's us. And it's the entirety of the world. The consciousness is all there is. I think that is so backwards now. It's like thinking that if all the sentient beings, all the minds in the universe perished, so there's no consciousness because everyone died. This is a thought experiment. Would the world still be here? I say yes, it would definitely still be here. This is my opinion. So the other school of thought is when the tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound if there's no one there? I say absolutely yes. The sound is the vibration of air. Doesn't matter if there's someone to hear it or not. That vibration is there, and it's defined as sound. And it's also defined as the interaction with us experiencing the vibration in the air. So there's a category of philosophy called monism. And when I first heard it, I didn't understand it. I wanted to know what they were talking about. And it's kind of confusing. So like theism, they call it a monotheistic religion, where there's one God that created everything. He's infinitely intelligent, he's infinitely powerful, and he's in every place that can possibly be, all at the same time. This came from philosophy. And that's not what monism is, because that is a dualism. Let me explain. See, we're talking about oranges, and then we're talking about apples. So we got to keep them separated, like the song says. Keep them separated. So a monism, the one that I adhere to, I'll tell you this first, and then we'll go back to the dualism in idealism, is dualistic. The Sikh religion is not dualistic. It's totally a monism. But it's not about the God, there's something else. They don't think there is the God somewhere else. But you can call it anything you want in their religion. Worship Ram or Shiva or Allah. Allah is a form of Shiva. Allah is a knockoff of Shiva, the older original deity. I learned that the other day. So, there's just physicality. This is the monism the one. Mono means one. The one fundamental everything. The quantum, what do they call it? The unified field theory. So there's a field, an ocean that all the waves are on. One ocean of reality. One. The metaphor. So consciousness emerged from physicality through unconscious, no mind evolution. Random chemicals that replicated, and the ones that replicated well propagated the oceans on the planet. And then the ones that became successful, they were food for the others, because that's what they were using to replicate, was the substance of DNA, say. And so, we evolved a cell. It's natural for material to form into a bubble, so it naturally formed into a cell with a membrane. Surface tension makes membranes. So the mind evolves. Now, wait a minute. Let me go back to the physical world. We are in a reality where locality failed. There's no local realism. There's no local cause. Local cause, the old way of thinking was, I'm moving this chip. It's for team fairness that I was handing out so that people they wouldn't have to remember. This is my last one. So the local cause is, I'm moving this. But according to Bell's theorem, non-locality, and the quantum entanglement, that's not what's going on. It's the one thing doing this. That's what the Sikhs are teaching. There's just one thing doing everything. So we don't actually exist in comparison to the one thing. We're secondary. The one thing is fundamental, and it's God. It's the deity. It's the all-powerful. It's what the game's all about, is devotion to the truth. It's the actual truth. But they're having trouble with their children becoming atheists. They're still stuck in being anti-atheist. They had to be, or they would have got killed. They got killed as it was. Like the Gnostics got killed for saying things that were Buddhistic. So the one thing is all there is. So the mind is a type of physicality. It's a type of material with energy working in the brain. And there's quantum actions going on. They verified that more all the time. Quantum level interactions going on. And so we create this feeling that I exist, that there's me and there's you, and there's the rock that could hurt me if someone throws it at me, and there's the guy that would throw it. And so we have all this social interaction going on because of our perception of individuality. And that's wonderful, but it's secondary to the truth. Our brain is not designed to see the truth that everything is one thing. We had to have somebody tell us, the star people. So the extraterrestrials gave the vision to Guru Nanak of like a vibration. It's like the Om, I'm calling them the Om beings. Because they understand Om is the source of all creation. It's the vibration of coming into existence and out, like vacuum energy. This is what I'm thinking is what's going on. Really, it's like I want to know what's really the truth of how it is that we're here. That's what I'm explaining. And there's Om beings that are extremely advanced, and they're helping us new kids on the block that just barely learned how to write our own name a couple thousand years ago. Well, but we had writing more longer than that. I think it's more like 8,000 years ago or something. But it's like a metaphor. We're just barely learning how to do mathematics. We started counting with our fingers, Wow, these animals on planet Earth are actually keeping track of numbers with their digits. So the authoritarian people can't stand that I think they're one of 5 great apes. They're like, don't ever call me an ape. I'm not, I will hit you in the head. That sounds like an ape mentality. It is. So they don't ever call me an animal. I'm like, well, then don't act like them. Act like something that's more evolved, if that's what you want to be. They don't want me using the word evolved. It's sad, because they're so beat down, they don't even know how much they're missing out on. It's scary to me to think of the world that their mind lives in. It's like a prison, a mental prison. So there's the band Atomic Rooster, and they had a song, An Invisible Prison. I'm in an invisible prison, and the jailer is me. So he's trying to get himself free from this. So there was a lot of freedom. There's freedom of thought in the 60s, and we were breaking free of the authoritarianism. And then it came back and put us under tight control. And then Ronald Reagan came along. It's like a return to the Dark Ages. So after Islam was formed and Christianity had become completely subjugated into authoritarianism because they had to be to defend against Islam, I can see the extraterrestrials here. They're just like energy disturbances, waves. I can see like a waviness, like a shimmer, like something out of the corner of your eye. And they showed me that they're here. That's what they are. So I'm excited that they're explaining more and more to me about them. Last night I had conversations like for hours on end in my sleep because I wasn't sleeping well. I was half awake, half asleep, just communicating with them. And a lot of it's just fictional stories, but it's like I wasn't offended by their stories or anything, and I was just not, I don't exist mode. Silence is God mode. And so I didn't have any ego problem. I was reborn. My ego was gone and I had been reborn. That's the metaphor. As the God being from the old human being. And that means I don't exist. It's just God that's doing all this. So I'm letting God do all this. So the extraterrestrials is just an aspect of God doing all this too. So they're not really beings either, individuals. They're God. It's like Shiva's the Lord of the dance. Shiva's all there is, and this is his dance. All of us. So, here we go. A visual. Nataraj Chandala, right there. Live and in the flesh. I mean in the brass. So, Shiva Hum. Shiva is me. See, I don't exist. Shiva is all that exists. Same story. See, it's in the Upanishads from India. So they told him. They told him a long time ago. And now science is figuring out what they told those guys. That is cool. So we're proving that, yep, there's just one thing, the monism. The one. And the advanced beings, the Om beings, know it. And they know how it comes into existence with the vibration of Om. In and out of existence. So other people, they've explained it in the Gnostic writings. There's a movement and a rest. And it's like somebody had the vision and they're writing it down diligently, what they were shown, and it's the best we can do. So there's one description of God in the Gnostic stuff, that it's before everything, so it does not have a name. There is not anything that created it. It's not limited by anything, because there's nothing to limit it. And so, see, you have people all over the planet trying to describe this truth that's being told to us by these beings we can't see. I can see them. They're letting me see them. And they're showing me stuff in my dreams. So Planck, I was going to talk about Planck and Schopenhauer, and then I'm going to end the video. Planck said there's a mind that causes reality because of the two-slit experiment. And Schopenhauer talks about the cat, and so the mind causes the wave function to collapse, which results the cat is either dead from the poison or it didn't happen and he's not dead. Superdeterminism solves all that needing to have a mind in the first place. And the scientists that have an ego that wants to be glorious, their ego, instead of God being glorious, they want their ego involved in it. Superdeterminism does it without any mind. And then the mind is secondary. We just get to go along for the ride. Incredible. And the ride's already made. And we're on it. So, the people that say consciousness is fundamental, the mind of God, what is physicality then? You're telling me it's mind? It's not mind. It doesn't have feelings. So they have to differentiate between beings that are alive and beings that are dead, or that are not alive, or they're not even beings, they're just material. So that's dualism. Mind is one thing, and matter is the other thing. So there's two things in reality. And matter and light go together. They got confused about that, and they're thinking the light must be part of the mind. It's like, well, I think the idea that it's all physicality is the most appealing thing to me, and it's super determined. So when I'm having difficulty, I don't need to worry because it's already going to happen. Just trust the one that's all of us. Thanks for listening. This is incredible. I'm not even being listened to. They're keeping it under wraps. They're keeping this hidden. So let them make the forgery of team fairness so that they don't think the real team fairness is even here. But we're here. And we're free of authoritarian control on the Father. That's what this metaphor that Jesus used. That's like saying Shiva is me. So Trump even said it. He said, I'm the Father, and they got the bales of hay in the wagon. I don't think Trump ever was on a farm, was he? I grew up on the farm, hauling hay. And we had a wagon. But it was not that primitive. It was like we pulled it with the tractor. When I was born, they already had the reciprocating engine, We didn't use teams anymore. Horses. So, I have spent a lot of hours on a horseback. And it's like an interesting experience. But I'm glad I'm not part of forcing animals into doing things like circus. They beat elephants. I think it's dreadful. They beat each other. They put each other in slavery. Who's they? What's us? We're the humans. So I'm just glad that the people that cared about me in the stars, from the stars, and from the planet, left this path of knowledge that can be found to freedom. It's truth. It's the real truth. And the truth sets you free. And I'm on that path. Thank you.